once again. If you're wondering why I'm wearing the same clothes as my last video, you can stop wondering now. I filmed these videos back to back, okay? Don't judge me. I do have more clothes than this. So, I don't normally do this, but I'm deciding to do a book review on Allegiant. It came out October 22nd, and it's nearing the end of October. I read it about a week after it came out because I just couldn't find the time, but once I did, I stayed up all day, all night. It was on a weekend, so I didn't have school. So I had all this time that I could have been doing homework, but instead I was reading this book, Allegiant. You see this? I was reading that. I have a hard copy, paperback of Divergent, the first book, mainly because it was my favorite of the series and Andrew bought it for me. Thank you, Andrew, if you're watching this. And I have the rest of the trilogy on ebook because I can't find any room to store any more books in my bookshelf. And honestly, I like to read my books on digital format before choosing to buy them because, like, I want to know if they're worth the purchase or not. Basically, if you haven't read Allegiant, or if you're wondering about this Divergent series that everyone's been talking about, that movie's gonna be coming out in March and all that stuff, steer clear. Get away. Get out of my video. Go. Because I am going to spoil the whole entire trilogy. I'm not going to go back to Divergent or to Insurgent. I'm just going to spoil Allegiant. Because, like, I'm assuming, since you're here, that you already have read Divergent and Insurgent, so I'm not going to take it easy on you. For all of you people who have read the book and have shared my frustrations, welcome to the fandom, or welcome back to the fandom, because I'm a fangirl. This book, I don't have any specific notes on it, but I'm going to try to recall all my feelings and complaints and everything that I took note of in this book. I'm going to try to remember it and just speak out my words. So I'm going to try to make this short, but I'm going to try to make this to the point. Number one, I felt frustrated with this book. I am not satisfied with this book. If I were to give it a rating out of 5 stars, which I have, I've given it a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. It's not the worst book in the world, but at the same time, when you are used to that kind of caliber of Divergent, and then of Insurgent, this kind of book just lets you down so hard. It's like jumping off the chasm, however you say it. It's like being out. It's like you're jumping to your death. It's not a good feeling. Why was I feeling frustrated? Main one, why did Veronica Roth kill Tris? That's one of the main things that got me frustrated. I get it. She wanted to be edgy. She wanted to set her books apart from the other young adult trilogies and novels and series and stuff, but seriously, killing off Tris, I felt like it was pointless. You saw her character develop, and yeah, I know some of you guys might be saying,
oh, it's a perfect way to end the trilogy by showing how much she's grown and become selfless and all that.
I'm like, no, that's wasteful. We readers generally want a happy ending. I know that might not be realistic, but it's a book, and we want fiction. This is why we read it. Personally, I love the Hunger Games because Katniss and Peeta were able to overcome all of their struggles and obstacles and end up together, and we infer that those 2 children in the meadow are theirs. Tobias and Tris, they will never, ever get that ending. Because you know what? She dies. Veronica Roth kills her off. I know, it's a great act of selflessness, and she saved her brother from imminent death, but seriously, it's wasteful. Like, why? Why? She already survived the death serum. Yes, okay, that's one step out of the way. She should have just gone on from there, saved the day, and then dealt with David in another scenario, in another situation, where she wouldn't be as vulnerable. She freaking got her gun locked out, kicked out by the blast of the explosion. I'm like, I'm just so angry right now. I was expecting someone to save her. I was expecting something to happen. I was expecting David's gun to be out of bullets. I was expecting her to survive, to carry on the story. A story's not the same when the protagonist, when the main character dies on you. That's just heart-wrenching. I would get it under other circumstances. Like if she were to die after resolving everything and just coming to peace with all of the tied knots. But there was no tied knots. I just felt frustrated. I felt like there was no sense in killing off Triss in the story. And also Uriah. Oh my gosh. Why did he have to die? He was sent in a coma. That I get. That I understand. Although why, I have no idea. There isn't supposed to be another senseless death. But yet, Veronica Roth brings that senseless death. With Suzanne Collins in The Hunger Games, sorry I'm comparing this so much with The Hunger Games, but I can't help it. There are so many deaths in the last book. It's uncanny. With Suzanne Collins, she kills them off for a reason. It makes you feel something inside. With the last book of Allegiant, I just felt like, oh great, another character's dead. Gee, thanks. Thanks, Veronica. I'm also named Veronica, but I am despising my own name right now. Like, what I was expecting was Uriah to come out of the coma somehow, to greet his family, to I don't know, reconnect with his friends and help Tobias out of that dark time, but no. I just feel like it sends him deeper into grief. Like, he feels at fault for Uriah's death to some degree because he was participating in the plan that sent Uriah into that coma. I hated it. And the way that Veronica Roth's writing, I get it. Triss gets stronger in each book. She becomes less of that naive 16-year-old girl, although she is still 16 years old. She becomes more mature, or so to speak. But from Divergent to Insurgent, she's still that girl who makes mistakes, who has flaws, and Insurgent, yeah, she's borderline suicidal and crazy, but in Allegiant, Veronica Roth makes her out to be some kind of saint, to be this perfect, selfless, abnegation, divergent, genetically pure masterpiece that would give up her life for the flawed life of her brother. I get it, she's a martyr, but why? Why'd you have to do this? Why'd you have to do this to me, Veronica? Why? I am left with no self-satisfaction at this book. I understand to some degree why she did this, why she did all of this killing off of main characters, but I just felt like it could have been written in another way that delivered the same message. She could have did it some other way without killing off Triss. Do you hear me? Without killing her off. No. For the most part of Allegiant, I felt like it got boring. Like the first half, it was just faction this, faction that, and then boom, it's like Triss and 4, and then boom, back to faction this and faction that. It was just a lot of politics and my head couldn't handle it. After that, once they got out of the gates, I thought it was supposed to be some kind of war zone, but yet they're thrust into another political system about genetically pures and genetically impure, and then that suddenly reveals Tobias's character as a vulnerable, weakened, destroyed, damaged person. I get that he has trouble, but he is in some ways more mature than Triss was. I just felt like that balance wasn't there once they escaped out of Chicago. No. And what was the point of going to the fringes? In the last 5 chapters. Do not get me wrong, I love 4, I love Tobias, but it just frustrated the heck out of me. It's just him grieving, him trying to get over the fact that Triss is dead. We, the readers, we're also trying to get over the fact that Triss is dead. We don't need to deal with this additional grief of having him alone, losing the love of his life, just grieving, knowing that he had some part in Uriah's death too. Oh my gosh, I just hated it, and it just got boring for me. Like, those last few chapters just didn't feel to me. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if 4 have died. I would have been sad. I would have been angry. I would have understood, though. I would have understood. Because in my mind, Triss has so much more developing to do. She has so much more to experience. And there's so much more that she needs to witness in life. So that's why I wouldn't mind if she survived and 4 was the one who died. I would be sad that 4 died, but like Triss would be alive. The protagonist would be alive. But Veronica Roth, she did not write it that way. I'm just so angry. What's up with all the initiates dying? I feel like all the Dauntless initiates, they're practically dead. Peter doesn't even know he's Peter because he took the memory serum. Triss is dead. Edward is dead. Uriah is dead. Lynn and Marlene, I'm pretty sure they're both dead. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Mary's the only one who's still alive, and Christina. Other than that, Will is also dead. Al is dead. Yeah, just a bunch of people are dead. Just a plethora of characters that we were introduced to over the series. Probably a half of them are gone. It's depressing. I know that not all stories have happy endings, but seriously, Veronica Roth couldn't write, like, an alternate ending or something for us fans to gush over, to get over our grief of losing this fictional character that meant so much to us. Because Triss and Tobias, they deserve happiness after all they've been through, after all of this Dauntless initiate training, and then that revolt against Janine, and then the revolt against the factionless, and just all of this fighting. They deserve to be together. She should have a happy future. But no, she cuts the future short. She makes Triss die. It's just frustrating to no ends. And it's even more frustrating that this has to be the last of the trilogy, that this is the concluding book, the concluding part to the series. This is the conclusion to their story. This can't be the end. I feel like there's supposed to be more. Like, when I read that scene about Triss dying, I had tears in my eyes. I felt like she should have survived it. Like, there's no sense in killing off these characters, Veronica Roth. You could have done it a whole different way. Stop trying to be different. Stop trying to convey a message. At some point, you have to try to both please yourself and your readers. That didn't please the majority of the readers. You can tell us how much it symbolizes something, how much it makes for a perfect ending. I won't believe you no matter how much you say you tried to back yourself up. I won't believe you. In my mind, I should have just stopped reading at Divergent, because although it never had a real conclusion, you never really got introduced to that kind of tragedy that tore Tobias and Triss apart. You didn't have to deal with the grief that 4 had to deal with looking at Triss's dead body. I had to stop reading many times during this book just so I can sit on my bed and cry about it. I had tears of sadness, tears of anger, and tears of frustration. This was how badly the book affected me. This is why I'm not recommending Allegiant to anyone. This is why Allegiant gets half of a rating, like 2.5 stars, but I had to round it up to 3. This is why I'm probably not going to touch the Divergent series again without breaking down into tears because of Allegiant. Sorry for the rant, you guys, but I'm just really mad about this book, and I just thought I had to share it with you guys. So, any of you of the Divergent fandom, any of you who've read the Divergent series, or who've finally gotten their hands on Allegiant and have read them, because I'm assuming you've read it to see this video. What did you think of Allegiant? Did you love it to pieces, or did you hate it? Or did you just were stuck in the middle like me? I wanted to love it, but I wanted to hate it at the same time. It's just frustration that's pulling me both sides. Make sure to subscribe, and I will try to post a new video soon. I have a bunch of crafts that I want to do, and I will see if I can put that on video. So, bye!